Hey gang, hope you had a great week, and welcome back to this extremely disturbing deep dive into Saints Row. Oh, look at this, a phone call.
Good work, player. Word has gotten out that the Saints ain't bullshitting. Now we gotta lock our rep down.
So the Saints ain't bullshitting. Now that we've cleared out the VKs from our neighborhood, it's time to earn some respect amongst our fellow criminals. This is an important concept of Saints Row. We do dirty work for shady people, the Saints grow their reputation as a respectable gang, and thus we have more power to take on the larger gangs as we climb our way to the top. We then get this prompt with some further information directing us to the Snatch activity, but the concept of reputation and our next steps were once introduced by Troy in this cut piece of audio.
Look, if you want to get your name out there, you gotta start doing some favors. Will's a pimp in Saints Row who could use some decent hoes, and Matt's a shifty motherfucker who runs a pawn shop. It don't matter who you see first, as long as you get that shit done.
Okay, well that was a little bit more informative than Julius's brief call about how we need to lock our rep down. Troy introduces us, by name, the pimp we have to go work for to earn some respect. In addition to that, he introduces us to a shifty motherfucker named Matt who runs a pawn shop. This is very interesting because I believe he's referring to the unmarked activity theft, but that's a minor diversion that has no cutscenes, no lore, or shifty characters named Matt. It's just something you can do when the stores are closed at night. There would have been absolutely no reason to mention such an activity in this tutorial context, but it does suggest that this small unmarked activity was once something more. We'll investigate this later. For now, let's continue on and go meet a pimp named Will. Alright, this is Will the pimp and Peggy the prostitute. And that's about all you need to see of that.
Yeah, I didn't think so.
So this is a unique tutorial version of the Snatch activity, and for that reason I'm not going to go too in-depth about it until later when we're playing the real deal. But just to quickly explain the concept, your goal is to go recruit hoes to work for your pimp instead of the other gang's pimp. Now before we can recruit the hoes, we have to kill the pimp first. But, as tempting as it is to just plow right into them, you're better off firing one shot at them first. Doing so results in them pulling out one of three weapons of their own: an NR4 pistol, a T3K urban submachine gun, or a tombstone shotgun. Once you see him spawn a weapon, go ahead and kill the pimp, and now we've got our hands on a much more powerful gun for free. But save your ammo, we'll be needing it for something later on. So now with the rival pimp dead, we can recruit the requested number of hoes, take them back to Will, and hurrah! We get the monies, we earn the respects, and now we move on to level 2. Exact same scenario, but with a different spawning location, and we're now requested to bring back more hoes.
Don't push me, bitch. You don't need teeth to fuck.
My god, this misogyny will not stand. These whores need to be respected like every other bitch. Anyway, again, this was just a little tutorial activity, so we only had to do 2 levels, but we do unlock Will as a reward for completing them. So like every phone homie, if you are in an area that the Saints haven't conquered, and you need backup, like we're in dire need of right now, just give them a call and they'll come right over to help you fight. But now that we have Will as a phone contact, there is some possibly related cut content that I'd like to share. At some point, Julius was going to call you to introduce the concept of phone contacts.
Listen up, man. Now that you're with the Saints, you always got someone who'll watch your back. Anytime you're looking for some help, hit us up on your cell phone.
This could have played after we got Will Woman, or it could have played after we just got Will, since these are literally the only 2 3rd Street related members you can call to come help you out. Though it makes me wonder if there was once going to be a feature like in Saints Row 2 where you can call in backup from a group of random wannabes, or maybe call in help from any of the main lieutenants, which is sadly a feature that is absent from the game. Either way, there's no room for this soundbite to play as we immediately get a phone call from Troy.
Rumor is an old liquor store is being used as a Carnales hideout. Why don't you go over there and check it out?
This introduces us to Strongholds, but before I get into that, here's some more cut audio suggesting Julius was originally going to be the one to introduce this to you.
The Carnales have been hiding out inside an old store. Until we clean that building out, there's no way we can hold down the row.
Okay, so Strongholds are how we take over neighborhoods in the city. They're usually single objective missions you have to complete while fighting through a horde of the area's respective gang members. They're basically more toned down missions that don't progress the story. But it's not all that bad. As you'll see, they're all unique in some way, and this one here is the most bare-bone example of one for the purpose of the game's introduction. Our goal being to clear out the store and kill a Los Carnales lieutenant hiding in the back. But as soon as he sees us, he makes a run for it. We're then led on a car chase that will continue all the way until we reach this spot near the water where he jumps out at the end and dies a pitiful death. Hooray! You could also choose to keep him alive and, I don't know, try to talk things out with him. At this point, he stops fleeing and will chase you down forever. You can take him all over town. Well, except if you enter the water. He doesn't really know what to do, except execute his only purpose and continue to dive out of a car that is no longer there. It's kind of sad, actually. This poor creature. But who cares about that? It's time for Flippy's amazing speedrun trick tip of the video. So the real reason why we wanted those beefy weapon drops from the Snatch tutorial is because to complete this Stronghold, we don't even have to enter the store. Yes, that's right, hopping the fence to the alley immediately triggers the chase sequence, so clearing out the store doesn't even matter. We just have to wait for Los Lieutenant to enter his car before he dies a pitiful death as we shoot him in the face at point blank range. The reason we have to wait for him to enter his car is because once he's triggered to flee, he becomes invincible for a short period of time. His car is also set with an unjackable flag, so we can't disrupt the chase sequence that way either. It's pretty hilarious Volition tried to stop these exploits to make sure the chase sequence absolutely happened, only to miss the most obvious one that makes it possible for the entire thing to be completed in 5 seconds. Or did they? Funny enough, in the demo build of the game, they do fix the exploit. Okay, I'm not really sure why they'd fix it and then unfix it, kind of like warping into cars. Maybe they just thought it was better that way. But anyway, as I was playing the demo, I came across this really glitchy door that glitched out in like 4 different ways. Like the textures wouldn't load, it wouldn't open, so I jumped in the final build of the game to see if I could recreate it, and I couldn't. But, well, wait a minute, what about those doors from the script file? Well, the back door is set to be shut when the chase begins, though it doesn't really work. It'll look like it's shut, but when you get near it, it pops back open. I guess this was put in place in case the player got confused and tried to walk back into the store, but as it stands, it's just a buggy function. But then what about that mysterious middle door? That's always supposed to be shut. In fact, I never even knew it was anything more than a barrier. Well, it turns out this door here on the side can just pop off its hinges. This leads to some really weird interior-exterior loading issues, but it also lets you explore the alley without triggering the lieutenant. And yes, this now gives us more methods of torment for this poor, pitiful Carnalis. How could you possibly escape with no car? Oh.
No one can step to us.
Damn!
Swoop by the church and scoop us. It's time to finish this shit.
Okay, so assuming you used either of the 2 cars from that Stronghold to get here, you're going to quickly find out that we'll actually need a 4-door car in order to get both Julius and Troy to the objective. Thankfully, Volition thought of this predicament and graciously spawned an Aqua for us right across the street in front of Brown Baggers. How convenient! This doesn't actually happen in the demo, so good on them. They're leaving in exploits and improving their game at the same time. This Aqua is kind of weird though because its existence is actually tied to the mission itself, and so if you quit the mission while driving it, it disappears leaving you stranded. There's actually some pretty cool glitches you can do with this despawning ability, but there's too much to get into for that because we've got some more cut audio that would have played right after Troy explained the turf war situation.
Before we go in there, let's hit Brown Baggers. A little liquid courage never hurt anybody.
Okay, so much like holdups, clothing stores, and theft, Brown Baggers was once a concept officially introduced through an objective, only to be cut for the player to discover by themselves. I'm starting to see a pattern here. In the case of Brown Baggers, it's a liquor store that sells various kinds of alcoholic beverages and drugs. Yes, that's right, drugs. I mean, it's nothing too bad, it's just variations of how you can smoke weed. Totally innocent stuff. Except at one point, I think you could straight up shoot PCP. Yeah. Or maybe not. Based on an early item file prefix, it's possible that the PCP would have been an additional melee weapon that bums and hookers would carry to stab and inject you with. Yeah. So what do these items do? Well, they make the screen go blurry, and in most circumstances you might have thought that's all they did, but while under the effects of weed, you'll take less damage from all sources. Like, Saints Row is a pretty difficult game. I should absolutely be dead right now, but nope, survived a car explosion. But as the effect fades, yeah, I get dropped pretty easy. As for alcohol, you gain the beer muscles perk, and anytime you hit someone into a ragdoll, they'll go flying to the moon. Those 3-punch combo finishing moves are incredible with this effect. And if you drink too much, well. There's a ton of item descriptions that go unused for all these as well, though I'm not exactly sure these were meant for the player to see, as they seem to include notes for other developers, like this tidbit here pondering whether or not they can get the Milkbone and Kemp's Milk logo passed by legal, which I don't know where the hell they would even put those, but I have a few theories. First, let's address this Milkbones thing. As you might have noticed, we have a dial pad on our cell phone. This can be used to call in-game stores or services you see on bus stops and billboards. It's super immersive and completely blew my mind when I first played, but forget about that for now. It's also how we can input cheats, and one cheat in particular related to these beer muscles is called Milkbones. It just gives you the same punching effect, but without the visual impairment. So my theory is that they were totally aware that these positive effects given to your character by taking drugs and alcohol were going to land them in hot water with the ratings board, and possibly banishment from countries like Australia, as was the case with Saints Row 4 in which they had to censor an entire mission for it. So what I think they tried to do was put a milk product in the game that you could buy instead of alcohol. Furthermore, there's even evidence to suggest that soda or something like an energy drink would have also given the same effect to circumvent the ratings board's restrictions. But ultimately, they just decided not to tell the player what any of the items did. Even in the official guide, it specifically states that the effects are just cosmetic, which is an absolute lie. So they snuck the benefits of these items past the ratings board, which I think is a badass power move by Volition, but alas, in Saints Row 2 they would remove the positive effects, and thus it would only be a cosmetic novelty. After our run-ins with the Vice Kings, Westside Rollers, and Los Carnales, we head to the docks where there's a turf war going on between all three of them. This is the perfect opportunity to crash their party and make it known that we're the 3rd Street Saints, and we're here to take back the row. This mission is the only time you ever see all three gangs fighting each other. It's like walking into an unholy blood orgy, and it's always fun to see the rival gangs distracted fighting each other while you can creep on through like a voyeur with a GoPro. We enter this battlefield with the objective to kill 3 lieutenants from each gang. The best way to really go about this mission is to get out of the aqua and just walk through it. It's not real difficult, and they've set up some nice explosive barrels to shoot at and some other fun scripted sequences. Though to be honest, I'm usually guilty of rushing through the opening missions, and it took me a few playthroughs before I even noticed most of the finer details. So this time around, I took things a step further and decided to break this mission down to see exactly how things worked. Emphasis on break. While messing around, I found that once we start the turf war sequence, we can immediately leave the area without getting those pesky messages that say something like, "Return to the battle, the Saints need you." So having free range in the city is kind of fun, but I wanted to take this opportunity to get a closer look at that sequence where a roller just floors it into a Vice King's car and it explodes. But I then found that by driving out of the docks and directly to the car explosion sequence using the adjacent main road, it doesn't get triggered. In fact, nothing does because all the triggers are located within the docks area. Well, we can't jack the roller's aqua, so it seems that Volition was keen enough to make sure the sequence doesn't get interrupted this way. But you can just shoot the driver, and thus we broke the sequence. So good effort by Volition for trying to stop any exploits, but they even forgot to flag the Vice King's car, and so the sequence is further broken as we... Well, after some additional investigation, it turns out driving backwards into the sequence trigger will make the car a ticking time bomb regardless if the aqua hits it. Here's what's really happening with this sequence. After we enter the docks, a couple of triggers load in the area. This yellow one is a visual setup that sets the car on fire and locks the doors. Once we enter this area, the car is permanently used as a prop until we get to the second trigger that causes the rocket car sequence to happen. However, if we never enter the first trigger, it never turns into a prop, so we can use it like a normal car past that little death barrier until we back into it. But in that rocket car death barrier function, they've added a delay. That delay is pretty tight, but if you're fast enough, you can enter the trigger, quickly back out, and now we have a car literally pulled from the grips of hell. You can run people over while setting them on fire. It's amazing, like an unofficial secret stash. Now honestly, because the timing to do this trick is so tight, I don't recommend it. It kind of boils down to luck if you can enter the detonation trigger and quickly leave it without instantly exploding. So instead of having to do the entire mission all over again if you fail, what I would suggest you do is a bonus Flippy speedrun technique. Holy shit. Alright, same setup. You trigger the turf war sequence to spawn all the actors, and then you drive down the adjacent road and just kill everyone from your car. Again, most of these guys are locked into a script that will never play, so it's like shooting fish in a barrel. Just kill them all from behind the fence, never leave the aqua. Once all the lieutenants are killed, the final sequence starts where a gate opens at the end and the cops ambush us. Yeah, can you believe they were actually trying to lock us in there this entire time? But anyway, the mission is now back on its normal script as we now have to deal with the task of ridding ourselves of these notoriety levels. Now, you might think this is the perfect opportunity to use your newly taught service forgive and forget, but forgive and forget about it. It's way too far away, and all you really have to do is drive back to the church, kill the cops, and that completely absolves you. Normally, if you did this, you'd definitely gain more notoriety and tougher cops would come, but for this mission, they just check to see if the cops are despawned, and killing them is the fastest way to do so. With this speedrun technique, you can save about 5 frames. Now, before we wrap this up, let's go back to that hell car. Now that we have the gate open and no one to bother us, we can peacefully drive the car out and around back to the entrance of the docks, bypassing the detonation trigger and allowing us to enter that first trigger area so that we only get the fire effect. And now because we killed the cops and the mission is technically in a suspended state as it expects us to take Julius and Troy back to the church, our notoriety is locked at 0 for everyone, meaning we can cause as much chaos in this town as we want with this thing and never have to worry about anyone coming after us. But if that's too desolate for you, don't worry. Unlike the Brown Bagger's Aqua, this car isn't locked to this mission, meaning if we complete it or if we exit, we can still keep our hell car. But you can't save the car in your garage and keep the effect. Furthermore, don't forget that with the cool fire and smoke effect they add to the car, they also put the unjackable flag right with it. So if you exit the car, you won't be able to re-enter it. This is the one benefit the first method gives us, since doing it that way never locks the car. But again, it's pretty tricky to do it that way, so good luck. Alright, enough messing around, it's time to close out this mission. But for one final cool gamer fact, Julius's audio line is actually spoken by Troy. Swing by the church we will. Because we have no choice, the prologue cutscene immediately starts.
Listen up, people. I got some serious shit to discuss.
Julius rallies the gang together to announce that while progress was made on home turf, he believes that in order to hold the row, the 3 other major gangs in the city would have to be wiped out. To that end, he divides the task amongst his trusted lieutenants.
Dex, you got the canales.
Got it.
This is Dex, but don't call him Poindexter. He's the brains of the group with a keen attention to detail. Dex is played by rapper, MC, and b-boy Jeffrey Amin Qayyum. Best known for his work on MTV's Scratch and Burn, a 2002 sketch comedy show. What?
That was alright? Pretty good?
This breakfast is straight up booty, yo.
I feel you, kid. I feel you. But peep this. New bling bling cereal. Bling bling cereal. Word.
This cereal's off the easy. For sheezy.
Bling bling cereal. Get your eat on in style. Only 100 G's a box, y'all. Hit your parents up, kids. This cereal's off the easy.
How prolific. This might have been his audition tape. No, Saints Row is what he's best known for. And he's said to have the worst agent in the world because despite having a career in entertainment, Volition claimed they couldn't find him to play his character in the sequel. And he never voice acted again. Ooh, I just felt a horrible chill run down my spine. Like a bad omen was near. Anyway.
Troy, you dealing with the Vice Kings.
Not a chance.
Fuck you say?
Anyone but them.
Dex is complemented by Troy, who is a by-the-books gangster. He keeps the work quick and as clean as possible. Troy is played by actor and comedian Michael Rappaport. Michael's had a long career in film and television, but he's also a huge hip-hop and rap aficionado. As legit as they come. And an excellent casting choice for Troy, who we'll see as a character who is always calm, cool, and collected.
Because they couldn't arrest you. You're the one fucking person who couldn't get arrested for what you've done. You sloppy...
You scared of going against Benjamin King?
Man, fuck that. I'll take King out.
Johnny, it's not that simple.
Bullets still kill motherfuckers, right? Doesn't get much simpler than that.
Now, if you took the inverse of Dex and Troy, you get Johnny Gat, a shoot first, ask questions later type with awful hair. Gat is played by actor Daniel Dae Kim, best known for his work as the reenactment body double for Soo-ya's brother-in-law on Unsolved Mysteries. He later went on to star in a very elaborate commercial for the search engine Bing that was disguised as a 10-season television show called Hawaii Five-0. Oh, and played on some show called Lost or something, I don't know.
Who's got the rollers?
I do.
Lynn?
The fuck you wearing blue for?
I asked Lynn to hook up with the rollers. We don't know much about these fuckers, so I wanted one of us on the inside.
I didn't think the rollers pimped hoes.
Any other comments?
Then you've got the femme fatale Lynn. She's voiced by actress, singer, and model Tia Carrere. Oh my goodness. She actually appeared with Daniel, on an episode of Hawaii Five-0. And wow, she was Juno Skinner in True Lies. Very interesting.
Yeah, when you punch, don't throw your shoulders so much.
Shut up, Johnny.
Hey, I'm just saying.
Once we're done here, go talk to one of these guys. They'll have something for you to do. It's our time now. Let's get this shit started.
Finally, the Kingpin himself, Julius Little, leader and founder of the 3rd Street Saints. Julius is played by actor Keith David, best known for his work on Hawaii Five-0. And maybe other things? I don't know, the point is that we've officially closed the beginning chapter of our journey with the Saints, and we are now given the non-linear choice of which gang storyline we want to take on. But since we've got no respect, we've got to go do some dirty work first. So join me next time as I delve into the seedy underbelly of Stillwater for some of that sweet, sweet street cred. Bye!
Keep doing this good, your next date with Peggy's on me.